Trigun, or King Live, coming at you again for another top 10 anime of the week. And this week, we're going to be looking at series that you probably saw, should see, and better see from the 80s and 90s. They're the shows that everybody saw, everybody knew, and everybody cosplayed as. And we're going to start from kind of the more slightly obscure to the real, no doubt shows. So let's get right into it, and with number 1, and this is a classic, Devil Hunter Yoko. This was one of kind of the first anime I ever saw, and it's always stuck with me. It was a big show back in the day. I mean, it had everything. It was transforming girls. I mean, it had monsters getting tore up, nudity, everything. It was everything the 80s really kind of put together in a good anime OVA, and Devil Hunter Yoko had it, and I used to see lots of cosplays of it way back in the day. And I really recommend it if you can find it, because it's a good show, and it pretty much still stands up against it in the time. And I'd like to see a remake on it, actually. All right, next up, a little more on the rare side of things. Sakura Wars. Well, this is the TV series, but Sakura Wars itself, huge in Japan. Not very big here, but it did get pretty big enough. There's the OVA, the TV series, there's the movie, there's a million live actions. In Japan, it was huge for stage and musical shows. Pretty much it's like a 6-girl team kind of thing that drive steam-powered robots and fight monsters. And again, that's the big thing for the late 80s, early 90s, was, girls and fighting monsters. And Sakura Wars didn't fail to deliver. Each girl had a special power or technique or military affiliation, and I really like this show, and I even did a cosplay of it. So let's move on. You probably know this one. It's Initial D. Initial D. So pretty much if you're a guy, you know Initial D and you've seen it. With the tofu shop, what is it? The AE86 or whatever. It's pretty much the only classic anime car that you will see at a convention and just be able to spot, instantly. That old Panda Trueno. I don't really know any other anime that has a vehicle, like an actual car in it, that really, can be noticed in everyday life from outside of Initial D. Even other vehicles such as, the Skyline and the Mitsubishi Lancer and things like that are all really brought to life in Initial D. It's about street racing, and I believe it's done pretty well. Although, the whole uphill and downhill racing thing is... I don't hear about it too much around here, so maybe it's pretty big in Japan, but I don't know anyone that does it around here. Anyways, moving on. This is another 80s classic here. Bubblegum Crisis. I love this shiny artwork they got on this. It's pretty amusing. Bubblegum Crisis was one of the big ones in the mid 80s. And again, 4-girl team, robotic suits. It's always with girls and robots, isn't it? But anyways, it's been re-released multiple times as well. This is the original VA series. There was a TV series. There's been a bunch of Bubblegum Crisis. It's really nothing you're going to hear about anymore in this day and age. But if you're into the retro anime, I definitely recommend checking it out for some classic fun times. Next up is another one you may or may not know. It's Nadesco. This was one of the big space battleship robot shows of the 90s, and it was one of those ones that really surprised me. It had a real early twist to the show, and I didn't see it coming. And outside of the original series, there's just the movie, and that's about it. But if you're into the robots in space, but you're sick of Gundam, try out Nadesco. It's quite good. I enjoy all the characters, and Ruri, as you may see soon enough in one of my figure collections, is from this. Next up, again, you don't hear about it that much anymore, but is the Slayers. This was a huge series back in the day. Slayers, Slayers Next, Slayers Try. And then 10 years later, I believe they put out R and Evolution and a few other Slayers. There's tons of movies, tons of OVAs. Slayers was big. It's the, magical, what is it? The medieval ages with magic, dragons, all that other snazzy stuff. So you got your Lena Inverse, she's your magician girl, and her Gowry, your swordsman buddy. And they pretty much just go on adventures. It's pretty much, as far as I'm concerned, what inspired the current Cartoon Network show that is on TV right now. And really, even the newer series didn't help revive it, I don't think. Slayers kind of, I don't think, was able really to do a comeback in North America. And I honestly was never that big of a fan of it. So personally, I don't really mind. And I feel bad for saying that because it was a good show in its day. Next up is, of course, Sailor Moon. Everybody knew what this show was at one point. It is dusty as crap, too. But this is the show that pretty much got me into anime, like legitly to where I learned what anime was. Magical Girl show, I mean, it doesn't need much explaining. It's got multiple series, multiple movies, multiple live actions, everything in the world. Pretty much every girl's cosplayed from it. I mean, you have a sailor waifu, I know you do. And Sailor Moon. Anyways, let's move on. Not much else to say on that. Here she is. It's Trigun. You've probably been waiting for this one. Trigun was a huge show back in the day, and gosh darn if you don't see cosplay of it still to this day and age of Vash. This is the remix series that was the slightly newer released version of it. Surprisingly enough, there hasn't been another anime of this. It's just been the original series and then the movie that I believe was released. Really can't believe it hasn't had a reboot, considering all the love for it. It's got a couple different manga series. But it's it's a Western anime. It's in the old West pretty much, but they still got quite the technology and everything else. But it's good and it's a classic. And then the next one that you've probably also been waiting for, Cowboy Bebop. This is the complete collection box. Spike and Faye and Ed and all those guys out in space, trolling around in their spaceship, causing chaos. Hugely popular anime, and again, honestly, I don't really know why. I wasn't a huge Cowboy Bebop fan. I really liked some episodes. Other episodes left me feeling But, I liked the characters. Ed, of course, was the best as far as I'm concerned. And Dog. But, I didn't really care much for, what was it, Spike or the other guy whose name I can't remember. It's been years since I've watched this show. I should probably rewatch it. When I did watch it, it was a long time ago, and I might like it a little bit more now that I'm a little bit older and watching it again. So sorry about that. And then last but not least is one of the big daddy granddaddies of them all, Neon Genesis Evangelion. This is of course the Platinum Edition release out of my 7-disc box set, I believe. This is one of the shows that really put anime on the map. The TV series of pretty much disturbed kids piloting giant robots, saving the Earth from monsters, pretty much in a nutshell. Our boy Shinji here is Mr. Unloved by everybody, and he's forced into a giant robot to pretty much, kill people and kill monsters, and it messes with his mind, and as it does with everybody else in this show. This show is a total mind trip. Great action scenes, great pretty much everything. It's hard not to really enjoy Evangelion. I'm sure there's a few people that don't like it, but they're rare. And I mean, especially if you were a fan in the area of when this came out, it's a huge show, and I love it, especially the movies. End of Eva or whatever was like my favorite movie for a long time. It blew my mind, especially after the super disappointing ending of the original series. But either way, that is it for now. Top 10 anime that you knew back in the 80s and 90s. leave a like and definitely comment anything that I missed, because I know I missed a few because it's hard to pick 10. And I'll see you next time. Peace.